Hello, I'm here. Can you guys see me? Let me get out of the way of these rods. Hopefully you can see what I got going on today. I've got all my fishing rods are out here. Well, there's a few, we won't talk about that. But what I'm going to do today, if you can make out the piece of tape here, hopefully I got the sun right, the lighting. This is a hard thing to set up and do. So I've decided on 100. I was trying to do 50, but some of these rods just don't flex enough with 50. So 100 grams of weight. I'm going to put on the tip of each of these rods, hold them up at that angle to on the black tape. I'll stand out of the way and we can watch them flex. And I'm helping the shadow. When I first started to try to get out here, the shadow was not here, but hopefully you'll still be able to make out the bend in the rods. So, and I'll go through, if you guys are familiar with the channel, you know what rods I got and what I don't. So I've got them in the lightest to the heaviest in the category. And even the ones I plan on using, the kids using, I'm going to try to throw in here. I haven't even counted them. I don't even know how many I got now. But what I consider I'm going to start with what I consider my lightest overall, not tip, but the lightest overall rod. And this is the 522, and I'm going to try to hurry up and do this so I can get through, because I also am going to try to do a couple different live videos today on casting. Now, not the whole thing, but just to show little points and things I found out today. I'm going to do a lot of cast testing with different rods. And I will try to show you this also if you guys can make that out. I don't know how the sun's going to allow it, but I'm going to test each rod over here, and then I may give you the whip test. Hopefully you guys can make that out. But a lot of them are a little whippy, but what you want is one that what they call recovers quick, so it doesn't just keep on all bouncing. So anyway, without further ado, we're going to start with, I'll name them. I'm going to try to get through them all, and then I'll look and see if there's any questions, but I'm going to try to get through all these rods from the what I consider the lightest, and I'll talk about, before I start, I'm going to also talk about the flex on like a, extra fast, moderate, almost to a full flex, which I almost consider this rod like a full flex. It's going off of like fly rod stuff. So anyway, we're going to start 522 SUL Cayenne Teton. And it's real simple. I just got 100 grams. This is actually, it's like a, well, it's almost like a bread tie if you guys want to try to do this yourself. But it's the heavier duty ones, come on like some of your toys and stuff that untwist with the rubber coating so you don't mess anything up. So we'll just start, and yes, these will all handle, all of them. This is the lightest, and I broke it before. So we're going to start, and we're going to put it right here. I don't even know what angle that is, so hopefully you can see how that rod flexes. Hopefully this comes out, but you see how much flex this rod has? That is a ton of flex. So I'm going to put these over here just in the corner as I go. I don't really want to put them back, I don't think. So next we're going to go with, and it could be a toss-up, and I'm just going to do this one because I just picked it up. This is that very expensive, the Cayenne Rainy Stream. They have like a Foggy Stream one, which is cheaper. And I have found a home for the Calcutta Conquest. So I just want to do this one because I consider it, the tip section is about as soft, and you'll see, but then it has a different overall action. So let's get it started. And I will try to show you like how it loads. I didn't really do that with the 522. I don't know if the camera's going down that far. So you see this one. It kind of comes into backbone a little quicker than the 522. So it's definitely, it's the action I like. I definitely like action on this rod. Very lightweight, good rod. Very expensive though, especially for AliExpress stuff. Now I'm going to jump to this one just because it's one of the softest, also like the whole part of the solid tip. Most trouble in the world with. If you guys remember this one, it was started out 6'6", and I've shortened it and everything else. It's actually one I don't really recommend, but I'm going to try to get it in the spot and use it where I can. So let's just go with it. Hopefully you guys can make out, see the flex it has. So these are the ones, they're, even though this is like a solid tip, it has that action like these hollow. The 522 and the Rainy Stream are the whole section, you know, both sections are hollow. That's what kind of gives them a more moderate, not really a, what I don't even call the Rainy Stream like a fast. I don't know if it's another way. But those are like for, even though they don't have that real bendy tip like I'm getting ready to show you, they're what I consider my lighter than the ones that are have the real bendy. Bendy. Oh, I didn't show you I did not show you this on this one. But like, I don't know if you can make out how whippy that is. And that's like 5'4" after I shorten it. This rod is very whippy. I don't know, I don't prefer that over here. I'll show you this one again. Here's what I like. This one, although it's expensive, see how it's got some whip? You see how quick it just comes back? That's what I like. I like that quick come back and recovery. It's got way better at that than even the 522 or whatever. So this I don't have, because I'm also, the rods that I have two tips for, I use like the light tips. This is the Mavlos Delicacy. So I'm just going to be doing the tips. It'll be a little harder to do. This is what I consider the softest, most flexible tip that I have. But I don't consider it, because it does get stiff quicker, I consider it more of a heavy powered rod than the ones I've just shown you. But basically, if I was holding it up in here somewhere, you see how much that flex, and it's probably hard to make out in the white, so now it's very strong rod, but it's very soft. It's got that solid tip, so it's going to take, you know, it can take a lot of pressure, abuse, I guess you could say, but it's a good rod. But like for me, I'm almost preferring these, like the 522 SUL and the Rainy Stream for, I'll just say for like your for the sport of it, the real little fish. Like if I was going and I thought there might be some bigger bass, the Delicacy, this rod here, and the Zephyr, which I'm getting ready to show you, is what I would probably take. But if I'm just purely for fun, littler, you know, creeks and streams, it's got the panfish, maybe some bass, but you know they're all like that pound or less. I'll have more fun with the Tetons, the 522, the 5.3, and these are 5.6 by the way. So here, this is the rock and roll. You guys heard me talk about it. I consider it and the Zephyr about the exact same. So hopefully you can make that out. These rods, even though they got that crazy soft tip, they're very, they jump into backbone pretty quick, and they're very capable, pretty powerful rods. They're good. Leave it over there. I'll put it over there. Now here's one. So I'll be honest, as long as it don't break, so far the 522 SUL used to be my favorite of the complete hollow body, true ultralight, you know, kind of that moderate flex. But now, just the action of that Rainy Stream, I like that, how low it's going. Now the solid tip rods, got the rock and roll, the Delicacy, and there's several others out there. It's something in there. It's called methamphetamines. But anyway, right here is my favorite of these style of rods. And you'll see the Delicacy, the rock and roll. and this Zephyr are all about that same kind of feel. So in all honesty, when it comes down to this rod and the rock and roll, it all comes to me. The rod blanks themselves feel very close, almost the same. It's the handle, just the comfort, the feel, and how it's built, and the overall looks of it, just, you know, over the rock and roll. Over the rock and roll. So as you can see, if you wonder why I've got a couple, I've got the Conquest on that rod, and then this is the Dark Wolf Ultra on this rod. These are that's the only two combos I've actually completely, for sure, that's what I'm going to be fishing with, and I could change that. All the others are still technically up in the air on possibility of changing, putting a different rod, you know, to the reels or whatever. So, okay, we did those. I'm gonna go to this rod. Now this is the one, I like this rod, but I wish I would have got it shorter. And they sell it shorter. And I'm gonna show you the whippiness on it. Did I show you the, I know. I'm trying to show everything and get all this done. But see this? See how quick they come back? They're I don't know, they're on a touch of being whippy, but you cast and it kind of recovers fairly quick. But I don't quite, like I said, for the smallest stuff, I actually would pick the 522 or the 5.3. Now I haven't really tried a true solid tip that flexy in the shorter than a 5'6". That's what I've got. Those two are 5'6", and the Delicacy I believe is a 6 foot. That's why I don't like it as well as those two. Then you come to this kind of thing. This was a 15. I want to say you can get the shorter ones for 15. It's like a $17 or $18 rod on AliExpress. Crazy good handle build, solid. If you look at the eyes, see how many eyes it has? Not bad. They're kind of bigger than they technically should be, but you know, what do you want for? You couldn't probably buy the handle parts for 15 bucks anywhere. This says it's 6 foot. Watch this. See that right there? See that rod's still doing that? I don't like that. Just, you get out and cast, and just that right there, I don't like about it. But I think if it was, instead of 6 foot, was say a 5 foot, which they make, I think they'd make a 4.5 foot. I think then it doesn't get bad, kind of like that blue one after I shortened it. But anyway, I'm going to show you this. And the links, I'm not sharing the links in this video. The links are all over my other videos where I first, you'll have to go back, and when I first talked about all these rods, like when they first were coming in and getting them, those are where I shared the links. You will not find the links in this video. There's too many rods to set and list every one. If there's impossible for you to find it, I'll post it. You see that flex? You see how this rod flexes more into here? Even though I have it kind of over in the lineup, I have it more like powerful than the other two. It's actually the whole, this part is as softer than the Zephyrs. That's why it's got that whippiness to it. But this is not a bad rod, and a lot of guys like that kind of, because in all seriousness, you could probably cast lighter baits better with this rod than you could those other two. And when you do get a fish, it's probably going to put a little more bend and you know, maybe be a little better fight. I just don't like the feel of overall of that over the others that I showed you. But that's kind of getting nitpicky. All right, let's keep going. We're now getting into the what I consider heavier rods than the ultralight, even though these are all ultralight tipped rods. So well, let me show you this other one first, and then we'll go to those. Hang on one second. Okay, so I've got one more hollow-bodied ultralight. Now this is the 632 Cayenne Teton. And it, honestly, is almost like having a 522 that's had a bunch of stuff added to it. So it's not far, they call that 522 an SUL, but I don't really call it a super ultralight. It's just an ultralight that's like a full flex rod. So here's a 632. See that flex? How it flexes all the way over into here. It's got that tip flexes. Now I want to show you. That's why I kind of left these rods here. So get a good visualization of what that is. So I'm going to hold it like right here. So there's a 632 Teton ultralight. Now I'm going to throw on real quick. Bring back the 522. So the 522, yeah, it is just that little bit softer, but the 632, I consider the 632 ultralight is kind of more powerful than most of your ultralights in my mind. I consider it more on the verge of almost being a light, like an in-between, and that's kind of how I have. They're just, I guess, more powerful ultralights than your other ones that you've seen. That's why I'm going in kind of this order. So now we come to the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, the next 5 rods I have are rods where you can get 2 tips. They come with the ultralight and a light. So we've got the ultralight tips. This is the one off of the Toma. You guys have seen it with the lingo catching. I use that miniature whopper popper, pop fish, that rod. This is the ultralight tip for it. So I'm going to try to hold it. So it flexes a little bit. It's not as soft at tip. It's kind of like you'll see the CU double coming up in here. So it's not as soft as the rods that are just ultralight only. They're 2-piece rods, but they don't come with the tips are close to that, but then where for me, why I rate them stiffer is once you get into the backbone, or basically the second part, they're way stiffer. They're like way more powerful of a rod than those other ones. So like I mentioned, if you're going, I guess it's as simple as how big a fish are you targeting? Even if you're throwing the same baits, if you're going for bigger fish, these I'm showing you now would probably be a better choice than the Zephyr or the Rock and Roll, or if you just want a longer rod, because this is a 6'6" rod. I've talked about this one. This one, the Toma, all the tips will actually interchange. This one flexes even into here a little bit, but it's more what I call being close to on the verge of between that's kind of an ultralight tip, but then it gets into more like a light filling rod. And that's the Solnak. It's the one I kept talking about. It's got like the Rambo's knife where you could screw that off and have stuff, but that don't come off. I don't know why that's there. All right, let's keep going. I gotta hurry and get this video wrapped up. I haven't even looked at how long it is, but I'm sure it's pretty long already. So next, 2 of them that are very close, and they're very similar in price. I'll just hold them both in my hand. These next 2, we've got the John Koo Vivid and the Ace Hawk CU Double. Ace Hawk CU Double, John Koo. These 2 are very close. These 2, if I had to call one, and we'll see how I'm holding up here, I'd almost say the John Koo is a touch softer. And I'll be showing you the light tips here shortly. Well, that sun is in my eyes. Not the sun, but it's reflecting off that tip is so shiny. Whoa, look at that. So there's the John Koo. So see, it's got a pretty soft tip, then it jumps into backbone real quick. That's the thing about the John Koo and the CU Double. They're not full hollow body or solid tips. They've got a solid tip, but then before you go into the other part of the 2-piece, they actually go into a hollow body. And these 2, and I'll show you one other one, are like that. So they're, I would say the CU Double starts, the the tip itself is a touch stiffer than the John Koo, but then it is softer all the way through. I think that's why I like it a little better than the John Koo. But probably a more capable one is actually the John Koo, which is a little softer here and then gets into backbone pretty quick. But as you guys found out when I did the light tip, for me anyway, setting the hook on shaky heads wasn't quite stiff enough. Okay, let's keep going. Now this is the one I put this together, but this is the Lure Killer Big Trout. I've talked about this. You've seen it in several videos. They no longer sell it as cheap as they used to. You used to be able to get this rod for $25, $27 shipped. Now they charge $27.50 or something and $25 to ship it, so it's a $50 rod. But it comes with 2 tips, and honestly it's worth that. But man, it was so much nicer when it was only a $27 rod with 2 tips. It was like the best bargain out there on AliExpress. Now it's not bad. I need to redo that, but I'll try to show you. I put it right there with the it's just that the CU Double I feel is an overall better look than the this rod, the Lure Killer. But and I broke one of my tips. I did I high sticked it trying to boat flip a bass. I thought it would take, and it didn't take it. Let me set this over here. This rod is still very good. I guess if I didn't have one at all, I kind of made that up and it does work, or didn't have all these rods, you know, an ultralight and a light tip. But the CU Double is only like $37. The John Koo is $42. But my pick on those you just witnessed, whether it's a light, ultralight tip, CU Double. I like it for that. Now, if I was fishing for bigger fish, heavier, a little size heavier baits, the John Koo is probably the more capable out of those. All right, let's go with this rod. I'm going to show you both tips. This is that rod that I do recommend. This is only a $20 rod. And this is the one that I showed you that this rod, if I had to rate the blank material, the closest thing I have to it would be actually this cheap $20 rod. This is the one just called Fishing Rod. Now, it's definitely a different, I guess, power the way this one is, but I'm just going to show you. It comes with 2 tips, and I don't think there's that much difference in them. So I'll show you the tip that actually matches, and that's another thing. The wrapping is different on one of the tips. But still, for 20 bucks, it's hard to beat this rod. And I'll show you this one I talk about like for crankbaiting. Now, it's supposed to be an ultralight and a light tip. So if you can see that right there, it's got a whole rod. And I can feel it bending a little bit down into here. This is just more of like a, I don't know, just like a perfect little bitty bait crankbait rod. And the other tip, I'm not sure which one's supposed to be which. This other tip, I think it's the same thing. I think it's different blank because it's a different color, but I think it's got the same action as the other one. I can't tell a big enough difference to justify or to tell you one's ultralight, one's light. All right, let's hurry up and keep going and get through this thing. Okay, now we're getting into rods you'll hear me that I like, and this is the way I fish them. This is the Toma rod. I made the handle for it. It's just called a carbon fishing rod. You won't be able to find it looking it up like that, but just Toma ultralight fishing rod, you should come upon this. But these are with the light tips now. So all the rods you just saw there, I would recommend for ultralight BFS fishing. Now the last one I just showed you, I like it for more of what I consider like light crankbaiting. Not necessarily light any other type of jigs and stuff like that, but for crankbaits, that fishing rod, whoa! Good thing that was a Teton, it won't be hurt. The fishing rod for like light crankbaits is where I would like it. If you were wanting to ultralight fish it, it'd probably be good for like certain size jigs and stuff. But the ones I'm going to show you now are more of my mid-range, what I call just, I hate to use the word normal or regular BFS stuff. No, I'm not ultralight fishing little creeks and streams. I'm just fishing lighter baits for bass. That's where we're at now. And so this is the Toma rod that will probably have the that flex right there. So it's kind of good for like I like it for the crankbaits. See that flex? Let me set it over here. Oh, and right before I go to those rods, okay, here. I know I just did that one, but before I go, away from ultralight, I'm going to show you this rod. Remember the pink rod? That said it's for Noah. It's just called Golden Mud Carp. I'm going to show you its action because I like this. You guys have noticed I've kind of like, other than maybe that Zephyr, I like rods like this. This is supposed to be an ultralight, but if you look at it, it's not far off that Toma we just put up. It's actually probably a little bit softer. So it's kind of in between. It's softer than the Toma, softer than the CU double, but it's definitely more powerful rod than any of the other ultralights. That's why I like this rod. This rod, oh, I haven't been showing you the whippiness. See, this rod has a, it just, I don't know, it feels good. This rod feels very good. The handle is horrible. I plan on switching that out if I was going to use it. Noah said he likes it just the way it is. So, and then this is the one that I haven't really figured out what to do with. So this is the light tip. Now this is the heaviest of the bunch. Ultralight, light tips. This is the heaviest one. So I'm jumping ahead of the CU double. Where did I get spider stuff on it? This is the John Koo. This is the one that is right there on the verge for me, setting like a shaky head jig, setting the hook. You see that? It's getting a little stiffer. And as you'll see my Teton coming up, it's right there. That's a pretty good stout, capable rod, steel boat in a light class for your fishing. So that fishing rod one, it would kind of go either way. If you're, like I said, those a little bit bigger bait or targeting bigger fish, you could use the ultralight one with capable ultralight baits, or the John Koo, and even the Toma, once you're going for bigger fish. So let's just jump to the CU double, which is out of that bunch. Wait a minute, I got the delicacy too. Now the CU double's lighter, but my favorite out of this bunch of ultralight light tipped rods, this is one I recommend. Ace Hawk CU double, I've switched that out. That's off one of my Teton or Cayenne Conqueror screw locks. This, it's just the lightness of it. It's very light. It's got that, comes right back. You can see it just feels good. A very good filling rod with this light tip. It's not bad with the ultralight, but for me it's too powerful for true real little bitty baits I'm throwing, and I hook a little fish and it's got too much power for that. But for those 4 to 6 gram crankbaits, this is like a perfect rod. I just like that feel. If you notice, you'll start to notice that all my rods have a certain bend, just under a different power that I like the Teton 661, this rod, that Rainy Stream. You'll see a pattern of the rods I like. You may like a rod that flexes way more at the tip, so what I recommend, my favorite, may not be your favorite. So before I get to the delicacy, which is the stiffest of that bunch, right there with the John Koo, I'm just showing you, this is a rod that I've had forever. Now it's got a little whippiness to it. See how that tip sets and shakes at you? But it's a heavy rod too. And I don't hardly ever fish it. Occasionally I do. The last bass I caught on this one, last time I used it, I believe was 5 pounds. That's how lucky this rod is. It's the old Gold Max, Habu Garcia. I put a Mega Bass handle on it. Noah's done very well. Olivia, anytime this is like one of my loaner rods. It's old and just works. And I'll try to show you the action of it. And it's one of the heaviest rods I own too. Probably is the heaviest rod I own. We're very close to it. But it just works. I'll try to show you that action. I definitely wouldn't call I wouldn't call it the most sensitive rod I own either. But it just works. See that flex? It just, it's kind of in between. It's probably doing kind of what my 661 or 2 Teton would do for you. Maybe a little softer right through there, but then it stiffens up pretty good. But it's just a crazy for crankbaits, but it's stout enough to set like, which is perfect for kids. You can use it. It'll work for shaky heads. It's actually one of the rods that will work for shaky heads. Work for little cranks. It'll work for the Nrx TRD. It's perfect for that, and that's one of the reasons why it's so lucky. I thrown a little bitty flat-sided square bill, caught my 5-pounder. Noah was throwing a TRD, and then I think Olivia was throwing shaky head, and she caught a personal best bass on it. Very good, and it's just it's the old IMX6. Like if you come across old rods on eBay, like if you're wanting just all-around cranking, whatever, lightweight rods, I'll try to get this. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it or not. But that IM6, 100% IM6 graphite, that's just a good blend of graphite mixed with like to kind of have a cranking ability. All right, let's keep going. I gotta get this wrapped up because I haven't even got time to get out here and start casting yet today. Okay, we're almost done, and I'm just gonna do the heavy action or the rods that aren't really BFS here in a little bit just to show you. Here's a delicacy. This is Charles's probably favorite thing to fish with the light tip. It's one of the more powerful rods. Once you put that light tip on it, it really goes away from. Although you can throw BFS size baits and stuff, it gets into a whole nother category where it can be fished, what you call power BFS. And that's what Charles does with it. He throws everything. And so there's the bend on it. It definitely stiffens up quicker than that rod I just showed you. Quicker than any of the Toma or the CU double. And probably even more so than the John Coo. It's just a 6-foot rod, but it does, I don't know, it just does work good. Not a bad rod. I don't know, I got so many others. It's definitely not one of my favorites. It's a good rod, it's just not one of my favorites. Alright, let's keep going. Oh, speaking of favorites, we're on it. Here we are. And now I shorten the handle. This is still a work in projects because I'm in the projects. This is still a project that's in the works. I did shorten the handle a little bit so I can move it around because what I'm kind of getting away from now is you'll see these rods coming up after this. We're going into my shaky head rods, the main thing I fish with BFS or power BFS stuff. And the Teton's like the 661 or 2 would be the same. See how it's whippy pretty good and then it just stops. It's got a good working action there, and let me show it to you. But I'm actually turning it into more for this next season. Well, not turning into nothing. I'm just going to fish it more with like cranks and other things. It's probably not going to get shaky head duty as much as it did. So see that flex? See how it doesn't? The tip doesn't. It's not a. I don't even know if I'd call it fast. I guess you could call it fast. And the whole thing it just has a real good, and it's plenty enough power. It's got my personal best bass caught on that, 7 pounds, 12 ounces. I know it's not a double digit yet, but that rod handled it and is capable. It may be the best rod I have to throw like a 1.7 gram little crank or a crappie jig. It may be the best rod for that job. This is just an all-around awesome rod. Highly recommend them if you now they are like 85 bucks. There's definitely rods here that 20 to 40 bucks that can, well, about $40 rod that can do the same thing close to it. Then I just had to throw it in one of the worst rods, but lighter, more crisp than the Teton. It's the Cayenne Conqueror. But look how much different. They can rate this a light too. That 661 is a light. They rate this a light also. I want you to see this. Just look at that difference. So much stiffer and stouter this rod is compared to that. There's like a huge difference between a Teton and a Conqueror. But I changed the handle out on this one, and we're going to try to throw it. This will be one of my first. The Teton I just showed you, and then this Conqueror, like my first lineup, the lightest I go when I'm throwing shaky heads. So, possibility if the fish are just crazy small, I may be throwing this or the 661. But then we're getting into rods now that have feeling, have touch, have stuff. Right? This is my favorite rod that I bought in a while. Do I like it over the Teton 661? For shaky heads, so far, yes. For all around BFS rod, no. This is still not. It's got a little too much power for an all around BFS rod. It's more on that high end. It's the upper end of your BFS, or what some of us are calling power BFS, or some of you guys say, oh, that's not even BFS, but it's BFS. Bait finesse system, right? Baitcasting finesse system. A system you put together to throw lightweight baits that you normally throw with spinning gear. So this fits in there perfectly. But as you'll see, this rod has about the same flex, kind of going for it. It's stouter overall than the 661 Teton, but that's the action I like. It definitely, and then it loads into backbone, like way more backbone than the Teton, but the tip seems very close. So you got that soft tip, you can throw little cranks, kind of whatever you can throw with the Teton, you can throw with this. But this rod is almost overkill for little fish. That's why I still call it 6 fish. That's why I still call this the best all around, because you could take this to little creeks and streams. You know, and it'll still let the fish put up a good fight, and it'll be a fun rod. Now I recommend, if they get too small, then that rod kind of thins rather running. But this rod is just a little more powerful for that. Like this rod has more power, and it's just got a lighter, crisper feel. So I like it better than the 6.6. I like it better than the Teton or the Conqueror rod blank material, and I like it overall. But as far as all around, I still don't like it over the Teton 661. That's still my favorite all around. Now this probably needs no introduction, right? Nrx Rod. This is the 802. So they call it a medium. So I just want to show you how it does, and then I'm going to show you a couple rods that are real close to it. But keep in mind, these are starting in the medium class now. But I want to show you this. Okay, let me hold it over there. Hopefully you can still see these. They're getting up in the shadow. I might have to pull it out a little bit. Okay, whoa, look out. So hopefully you can see that rod bend. See that flex? And that's kind of, I want to just show you, even though that's a medium, here's what the Conqueror they consider a light. So when you get a soft enough tip medium action rod, it's kind of on that verge of the medium. I call it a medium light, if anything. The 802, I wouldn't call it a medium. But another rod, now I didn't break this. I actually been cutting and doing some experiment. This is a one-piece rod. That's the Berkeley Lightning Rod. I just wanted to show you it because for $40 you can get a one-piece rod right here locally. That is about the closest rod I've seen to an 802, just in power. So it's what I would call more like a medium light, but they call it a medium, the Berkeley, and very strong rods. But the Berkeley Lightning Rod, a $40 rod that is close to, now it's not going to be as sensitive as an 802, And it's going to be a little bit heavier feeling heft in the weight, but it's close. And man, for $40 compared to $500, my son's got he bought one in every, whatever length medium they sell, I think he bought. They feel very good. I'm just telling you guys, if you this rod, there's that 802 again. See how it kind of really flexes down in here somewhere. It doesn't really, the tip doesn't, but that Berkeley Lightning Rod comes close to 802, and I call both of them more of a, not really a medium, more like a medium light, maybe not quite to a light. So then we're getting into, now we're done out of BFS. Those are all, I still either call BFS, power BFS fishing. This is my last one. This is the last, a lot of you guys will argue that there's no way this is a BFS rod. I'm telling you, throw a 16th ounce shaky head about as far as any of them, and you go throw a 16th ounce shaky head, and it needs, a BFS reel on it to do that. That's why I call it, power BFS. But I'm going to show you the different levels. This rod is heavy. If you were to put it in here, I would call that heavy action at least. But from there on out, it has a solid tip that is not, I guess I would call it close to a light. So you see that? It's definitely the, hopefully you guys can make out that give. What that lets you do, and which it tells you in the description, it tells you right here on it that it's rated for 3 seconds to 1 ounce, which, so for me anyway, basically say 2 grams, it will throw, the issue with this rod is all about hook, just yanking the hook completely out of their mouth or whatever would be the only issue with this rod. Now, I didn't give too many would-be things, but this is a stout rod. But I love throwing the 16th, 8th ounce shaky head with the zinkers, with the normal worm, some of the different jigs, a real light jig, it weighs more than 16th ounce, but like the little bitsy bugs, 16th ounce bitsy bugs. This kind of like this, and I call this power BFS. I don't care what you guys say. That is definitely the stiffest of, then I'm out. Now we're going to finish off just I've only got 3, which I'll use that to Tula for other regular baits, but then we go to your regular, which one's called medium, but it's actually, I think, a little bit stiffer than this. This is the Nrx 803. Now it's considered medium heavy. It pretty much is, but I'm just going to show you if they flex at all or what they do, and then we'll be done. Then we'll check for questions. So that's the 803. Hopefully you guys can make that out. Hopefully all this came through and there's just not a bunch of, you can't make out what's going on. So it does give it some flex, but whoa, I straightened out the band. There's, you're basically talking this weight I could cast with this rod, so it's going to flex, but very good rod for, still can throw. Like if you get on bigger bite, and you wanted just a more powerful rod to catch, like you're fishing with the shaky head, because you can do it, but the 2-aught hook, that's the only downside. Like you're going to be fishing, it says 12 to 16 pound or whatever, but say if you're fishing anything over 10 pound test with those little, light wire 2-aught shaky head hooks, VMC's one I use or something, you have to either have the drag set or use a thicker wire shaky head hook. But still capable to get down there and throw some lightweight stuff, but way more for the regular fishing gear. Like you'll see me throwing all the bigger stuff I throw, half ounce, 3/4 ounce even. And this is called a medium, 13 fishing. This is the one I picked up at Rogers I told you guys about. So I'm going to show you real quick how, even though it says it's a medium, see how it's pretty stiff too. If you remember the 802 and the Lightning one, they're definitely a softer rod than this. And the thing I like about this rod is I think it's right there, stout enough, yet I don't know if you can see how the whole rod sort of starts to give. I think this will be perfect for chatterbait fishing. Okay, one more rod. I'm just doing it to show you. This is the only heavy action rod I own. It's the last, one of the last Conquerors left. It's just probably because it is a heavy action, the only reason I haven't broken it. But it still does. I don't know if you guys can see that little bit of flex it has. What's funny is it flexes, it starts to flex about like the medium heavy, the 803. But then it's just different. Like it starts to flex and then it just stiffens up, and I'm not really. Probably one of my least favorite rods I ever bought, but it still works. I mean, it's not a bad rod. So hopefully you liked that video. I think I'm done. Let me check the comments. Let me give you something to look at while I'm doing that. Hang on a second. Take you off of the truck. Hopefully that wasn't too bad. Oh, we're not too bad on time. My favorite combo at the moment, and my most expensive, for the BFS stuff, not, you know, Nrx with the Aldebaran on it's the most expensive combo. But this thing right here just feels very good. Either nobody comment or I can't flip nothing up. It's not doing anything. So anyway, I'm going to get out of here, guys. If you had any questions about anything, this is the video to ask them other than the links. If you want any of these rods I've just showed you how they're flexing, you need to go back and watch one of my other videos. I'm definitely not listing any links on this video. I want to get a video out there actually for your reference and mine, because say, you know, I'm getting old. I'm 50 now. I start looking and trying to like, well, how flexy was that rod with the 100 grams or whatever. This is a quick little video to go by and kind of scroll through, and hopefully I got the names of everything kind of right. And if you absolutely go through and you're like, Charlie, I've watched all your videos and I can't find a, you know, give me the link to whatever rod, you know, show me the time when I showed it or what it was called, I can try to track down a few, but I'm not going through and putting down all the links to all these rods. All right, guys, stay tuned. I'll come back probably today at some point. Zoof Skills Fishing just uploaded his first ever ultralight freshwater lure video and just hacked my video channel to push his video channel, which is fine. If you guys want to go check that out, check it out. I don't care. Always interesting. Thank you, guys, and thanks for watching. I'm not telling you guys to go buy this, but this is kind of one of those like spoil yourself kind of deals. I just wanted to get it and try it. Now, if you've watched in the beginning of this video, you could do the same thing and honestly probably do it better with the Casking Zephyr rod, which is like $65, and the Dark Wolf Ultra. But this is almost like this is kind of like getting out there, and it's just gonna feel better. Like you catch a pound bass on this, it's gonna feel better in your heart and in your soul than it is with the Zephyr Dark Wolf Ultra combo. Not that that's gonna feel bad. You can do the same thing with the lingle on the Toma or the lingle on the 661 Teton. It's gonna feel good too, but it's not gonna feel this good. Now you hook a 5-pounder, oh my goodness. It's what we live for, right? Take some of your smallest stuff, like the 522. Honestly, the 522 SUL is probably the better buy than this one, because it can be bought for like, was it 75, 80 bucks? And they'll probably do the same thing. This is gonna feel better doing it. It's not as whippy, which I like that. But yeah. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I will see you guys later. I'm gonna get out here and do some casting now.